So now she can charge whatever price she wants to charge, but she still was just a dentist. I said, we've got a niche down. So I said, who do you like working with? She said, oh, I love working with the kids. I said, okay, great. Let's just have you be a pediatric dentist. So now you work with them from, 2 to 18. And after that, you don't talk to them. And I said, okay, great. Now you specialize. So you're going to get a little bit more elasticity in your pricing. You'll be able to charge more because you're a specialist. I said, but you need something from your personality to really make this work. I said, what's your favorite movie? And she says, Peter Pan. Great. So you're going to be the pirate dentist. So she dresses up like Captain Hook.
You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. Downloadable audio episodes can be found on the podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. We are locally underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie, Calls on Call Extraordinary Answering Service, the Bold Business Book, and Live Switch. Today, we're welcoming / preparing to learn from Vance Morris of Deliver Service Now Institute. So Vance, how is it going today?
It is fantastic, James. Hopefully we'll drop a couple of golden nuggets today.
That's the goal here. So why don't we start with what is the, oh my gosh, what was it? Deliver Service Institute? Deliver Service Now Institute.
Yep.
All right.
What is that? What is that? That's a great question. It is a place where I teach business owners, entrepreneurs, really about customer retention, because there's a lot of gurus out there that are, can give you, 10,000 leads by Monday afternoon and, flake book ads, Google, all that stuff. There's not a lot of folks focusing on retention. And then, of course, in order to have retention, you've got to have great customer experiences. So those are the two areas that I really focus on, showing businesses how to, the word I've been using a while is Disneyfy. So taking all of the boring, mundane things that we have to do day in and day out in the business, finding a way to create an experience out of them so that we become memorable, we're top of mind, and people are doing that word of mouth marketing for us.
Nice. So tell me, how do you get involved in this?
That's a great question. Well, here in Maryland, I have 3 home service businesses. So I'm not one of those consultants that have never done anything.
I read a few books, right?
I went to consulting school. I got the little, thing. No, it's not who I am. So I own 3 home service businesses here in Maryland, mold remediation company, Oriental rug washing facility, and a traditional carpet cleaning company. All very sexy businesses, I will tell you.
Yeah, super duper. Well, they're based on dirt, and dirt doesn't stop regardless of all the good stuff going, right?
So, when I started those businesses, I've had them now for 19 years. I knew that I was going to be aiming for an affluent client. I didn't want to be, scrubbing down and dirty rentals and things like that. I wanted to, really have a premium service, just like Disney, for affluent clients. And so from day one, that is the direction that I went with my marketing, with the service, with the experiences. After a few years, people started asking me, Vance, you don't look like you're working too hard. What's your secret? How do you do it? So I said, look, it's really simple. This is actually the first thing I learned. I worked for Disney for 10 years. First thing I learned there was that Disney runs on systems. They got marketing systems, operation systems. You want to change a tire on a bus, they got a system for that. Carry a tray in a restaurant, they got a system for that. So all I really did was take all of that, put it into those businesses. And 7 years ago, I actually was able to hire a GM, and fast forward to today, I spend about 90 minutes a week on those 3 businesses.
Very cool. Very cool. And how do you, let's just take these one by one, because I imagine you didn't start all 3 of those businesses at the same time.
Did not. No.
And I would imagine carpet cleaning came first.
It did.
All right.
Yes. And actually I started with a franchise, because it had a great proven concept. I was new to business ownership. I'd been in, corporate muckety muck for 20 plus years. And so I needed something that had a system behind it. So was with the franchise system for about 15 years, and then jettisoned it and went out on my own. Along the way, people, I hated walking into people's homes and stepping over things that I could be cleaning, but I didn't know how. Tile floors, wood floors, Oriental rugs. So I was like, well, might as well add Oriental rug washing. Nobody is doing it in our area. Um, and so we added that service. It was great. I already had a built-in customer base. All I had to do was go to them and market that service, and boom, we were up and running. And then about 6 years ago, we added the mold company again. We had the existing customer base. I mean, I got 10,000 names in my database. Just had to market to them and say, hey, we are now in the mold business. If you like this for cleaning, you'll love us for mold. Well, not love us, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, right. Nobody's in a good mood when they have multiple
Nobody's in a good mood
problems.
for that.
So tell me a story with the franchise. Let's back up. I mean, we're talking a long time ago. So
Yeah.
way back when machine here. How did you choose which carpet cleaning franchise to use or to join? Because there's hundreds, probably thousands of them. And that's a big ask to figure
Yep.
out what you're gonna do because the equipment's expensive, the capital outlay is pretty intense,
It is.
the theories and the marketing and all that kind of stuff. Some are well known, some are not. Tell me about
Yeah,
that.
so yeah, I worked with I didn't know these things existed, but I worked with a franchise headhunter after I'd left corporate world, and I really wanted to open a restaurant, but he asked me, he says, "Do you have $2 million liquid cash?" And I said, "No, why?" Because well, most even like a Five Guys, requires 1.5 million liquid in cash. I was like, well, all right, what can I afford to do? And we looked at a number of different service businesses, dry cleaning, fruit smoothie, uh, uh, truck, food truck, um, and then a couple others. And then, he kept asking me about carpet cleaning. I'm like, dude, I barely vacuum. I don't know anything about carpet cleaning. And he said, no, I think, with your match in the level of service and your Disney background, this company has a product that you can look any customer in the eye and tell them, yes, this works. And I was like, all right. So I talked to them, and by golly, yep, all of their products work as advertised. I mean, if you wanted to get the smell of dog pee out of your carpet, well, they had a product for that. And by golly, it works. Um, One of the things I liked about that particular franchise is there was no marketing fund to pay into. So I didn't have a percentage of sales going in. And the franchise fee was a flat rate per license. So it's $350 a month per license. I ended up towards the end, I had 6 licenses, but still, only $1,800 a month. That's not bad. I mean, there's no 1
No.
or 3 or 10% of sales. It was just flat.
And they split it up by zip code, or how did they divvy that
It
up?
was counties based on population. I'm in a very rural area, so I mean, I got 1,700 people in my town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is
free traffic lights. 8 o'clock at night, they all go to flashing yellow.
sure.
But so they grouped in our area. They grouped a bunch of counties together, and it was like one license for every 30,000 people or something, or one license for every 60,000, something like that. Um, and I just ended up gobbling them up as I grew.
Nice. Now, let me ask you this. When you shop for a franchise, I imagine it's similar to shopping for software or shopping for a new phone. What the salesperson says it can do versus once you actually get in there elbow deep and are using it, you find out that's not exactly the same or not as good as you were hoping for. So, was the system that they essentially sold you, was that more or less what you expected, or did you have to deal
Yeah,
with some less thans?
no, it really was. And that was one of the reasons I chose it. And my advisor was like, "Look, this is a really flexible contract as far as franchising, because they didn't tell us how to advertise in our market." Again, I mean, marketing in a rural area versus marketing in a metropolitan city, two very different beasts. I mean, we had yellow pages until just a couple of years ago. Um, so they left us alone to do what we needed to do to build the business. Um, and so, yeah, no, it was really good. The last 5 years were rough. They got bought out by private equity twice. Actually, once they got bought out by Home Depot, because they're the largest carpet retailer in the US. So they thought, well, we should probably own a carpet cleaning company, which is they realized is really stupid because now their carpet sales went down. They weren't selling as much carpet because we were coming in there and cleaning.
Oh, fun.
Um, they sold us to private equity, and then they sold us to a larger home service company that owns, I don't know, 10 or 15 different brands.
Gotcha. Okay. So you got out pre Home Depot buying?
No, I got in during Home Depot, which was fine by me. I didn't bother me any. Private equity, the first private equity was okay. Again, they tried to do this, that, try and up your purchases and do different things to try and squeeze more money out of you. But, I managed to the contract. I mean, when I was at Disney, we worked, it was a union environment. And the easiest thing I could do as a Disney leader was manage to the contract. I couldn't get in trouble. I could go wrong if I managed to the contract. So that's what I did with this franchise. I managed it to the letter of the contract, and they couldn't say anything to me. But it was really the last couple of years that they started changing the contract. They actually went to a brand marketing fund where they were expecting me to pay in stuff that there's no way I could even measure the effectiveness of the marketing. So I said, look, I will stay with you if you exempt me from this brand marketing fund. Otherwise, I'm out. And they said, nope, can't do that. I said, fine. And so over the course of 9 months, I let each one of my licenses expire. And now there is a big, giant gaping hole in this region of the country where I used to be, and they have yet to sell another license.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, good for you for
Yeah.
having the stones to walk away from that. And I imagine your customer base didn't care what the name on the van said.
They really did. I mean, might have been 3 or 4 that, "Oh, no, we only will go with this franchise." And I'm like, "We got the same stuff, same equipment, same chemicals, I mean, same people, but forget it." But, yeah, no, we really didn't. We saw maybe like a 2 or 3% drop in sales that we could really attribute to the name change, but it was it was negligible.
Yeah, I suppose there'll be attrition based on any change of
Sure.
any kind. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the carpet cleaning competition world is like around in
Yeah.
your rural area, but I can't
Mhm.
imagine there's a ton.
Well, I mean, we bought out 2 of our competitors. Like one owner actually said, "Vance, you outmarketed me." And he had been around for 15 years, and he just got lazy and complacent and stopped being aggressive in his marketing. Um, I'm scrappy, I'm tenacious. I'm like a, poodle on a mailman's leg. I never took my foot off the gas when it came to marketing. So, I started in '07, '08. So, that's when everything was imploding, made it through the other 2 recessions. And because I had focused on affluent customers, they were not as affected by all of the turmoil in the markets as, say, middle or lower middle class were. They were pinching pennies. People who still had money were still spending.
Nice. Let's shift gears into the Oriental rug cleaning.
Yeah.
Are you removing the rugs and taking them to
Mhm.
a shop, or you clean them right
Yep.
there on site?
Yep. That is the most effective, safest way to clean, especially anything of value. I mean, we've had some 70, $80,000 rugs in our shop. Um,
Oh,
But, yeah, I mean, doesn't take up a lot of square footage, so, I mean, I didn't have to really increase rent space or, building space or anything like that. It was all the same equipment, pretty much, except that we had to build a big giant, I call it a rug bathtub, so it's a 12 by 18, 6-inch deep tub where we literally wash the rugs. It's the way they've been doing it for thousands of years. They take it down to the river, they bang it on some rocks, let it rinse out, and throw it on the line to dry, and that's pretty much what we did. But
wow.
the great thing about the rug business, one, we didn't have to go anywhere except to pick up the rugs, of course. So, like, my employees love doing it because they can show up in shorts and a t-shirt and wash a bunch of rugs, make a lot of money, and not have to go anywhere. And it was really a hole in the marketplace. There's near me, I mean, the closest one's 45 60 minutes away in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And so there's nothing closer.
Holy cow. All right. So I don't know much about Oriental rugs. Are there a lot of them rolling around in people's houses?
Yeah, there are actually, and it's not just Oriental. I say that because people understand what that is, but natural fiber rugs, cotton, silk, etc. Um, you know, back in like early 2010s, there's this big push away from carpet, and everybody was putting either hardwood floor, manufactured wood floor, or tile everywhere in the house. And then what did they do? They went out and they bought a rug to put on top of it, because it's, nobody likes walk. They like stuff to squish in their toes, not walking on cold tile. Um, so yeah, I mean, we're still doing. I mean, we got 2 weeks worth of work in the shop right now, and we always do.
Oh, that's awesome. That is super cool. Tell me, you mentioned marketing,
Mhm.
and that's always a fun topic, right, for business owners. So, how do you market, or how have you marketed successfully the carpet cleaning business and the Oriental rug and mold remediation
Sure.
business?
Um, So at the get go, I mean, it was boots on the ground, grassroots. I mean, I was stuffing mailboxes. I mean, hanging door hangers, yellow page ads in the local free newspapers. And some of it worked, some of it didn't. It wasn't until I got my own section of the newspaper that the print marketing really took off. And so what happened was for like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 Sundays in a row, I got the newspaper, and you know how they get all the coupons and flyers and everything? Well, they would take all that, and I guess they printed it up during the week, and then they would put it in between some blank newsprint. So on Sunday, all they had to do is throw that whole section in there. And I finally asked my sales guy, I'm like, "Could I print something on that? I mean, paper's expensive, ink is cheap. You know, do you think I could print on it? Because you're already using the paper, so I'll print on it." Um, and so that's how I actually got a 4-page whole section just for my company. 4 pages, full color. I was paying, I think it was like $700 for 10,000.
Wow.
And it was 4 full page ads for all of my companies. And we ran solid 6 years with that. Um, I think they were kicking themselves because they probably could have charged me a hell of a lot more than $700, but I convinced them. I was like, "Look, you're already using the paper. I'll just pay for the ink." Um, so, but they did away with that, so we had to go to other areas. The other thing is still having boots on the ground. Um, I've got a salesperson. Their whole job is to go around to all of our referral partners all over our territory. So it is face to face in real estate offices, plumbing offices, any business that is inside a home. We have a presence in their office, and we're in there, and we're buying donuts, and we bring them candy, and so it's really a very big, robust referral network that's probably generating 35 to 40% of our new sales. The rest is coming from our good friends at Google. Um, and as far as new customer acquisition, those are the 2 big ones that we do.
All right. So, the salesperson, how tough was it to find one of them?
Not as hard as you think. So we have a local community college here. I went down to the marketing department and I said, "Hey, you got any people who are here, either working in going to school in the morning and off in the afternoon, or vice versa?" Um, Literally interviewed a couple of college kids and said, "Look, I'll pay for your gas. All you got to do is go visit these 15 places each day, and you get paid hourly plus commission for anything that any sale we can attribute to you." Um, and so it's worked great. There were a couple of duds in there, but I mean, the one we have right now, gosh, she's been with us well over a year and a half now. So
All right. And since you're targeting the technical colleges, do they, once they graduate, they move on, or do they stick around with
yeah,
you?
I mean, this is not a career choice, I don't think. Um, Although we did have a couple of moms who would work during the school day. So after they dropped their kids off at school, they'd come work for me for 4 or 5 hours, and then they'd be home by 2:30 or 3 to meet the kids. So it's not really a career position, but if you're if you're got any creativity, you can find these people. Um, I mean, like, so we do handwritten thank you notes to all of our customers after each job. And that's anywhere between 100 and 150 a week, depending on the season. Well, I don't have time to write out 150. I mean, that'd take me 2 days. So I went to the local senior center and I rented three grandmas.
Oh,
And they
clever.
now, what's that?
That is clever.
Yeah, I pay them in donuts and coffee, and, I mean, the 3 they were getting together anyway, just, to chit-chat and talk and everything, so now they've got a purpose. They spend 4 or 5 hours, the 3 of them. Like I said, donuts, coffee. They do all of my handwritten thank you letters, and we do that every week for them. They love it. I love it.
That is genius because they probably actually know cursive, where
They
mine is
exactly. Yep.
writing that even I can't read it sometimes when I go back after I've written something. So
Right. Yep. 100%.
that would give the other thing like, oh, here's a thank you note from someone that didn't pass kindergarten. That's great.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah. No crayon.
Yeah, that is impressive. I love it. Is that something that you decided to do on your own? You received a thank you note, so you're like, hey, we should incorporate that. How do you get that idea?
I'd always just been raised. It's like, what would grandma do? Or you make your mother make you do. Your grandma sends you $5 for your birthday. I always had to write a thank you card. And I was just in the habit, and I didn't do it the first couple of years, but we've been doing it for at least 16 years now. I just dawned on me. I'm like, oh crap, people are buying stuff from me. I guess I should say thank you.
That is
So we
cool.
just started. I did pre-print them for a while, and then I was like, well, that's not very personal. So then I started handwriting them, and then I got a service to handwrite them, but then they kind of flaked out. And I mean, the grandmas have been going great now for, geez, well over 3 years.
Oh, that's incredible. That is incredible. Tell me about marketing the mold remediation company, because that's a little different. That's an emergency service rather than a maintenance service.
Yep. It is. I mean, we do very well actually with Google, um,
You're talking about
and
paid AdWords in
yeah,
some
pay per
cases. Okay.
click. Yeah. Yep. Um, uh, And those are expensive leads, though. I can tell you that. I mean, they're like easily $200 a lead.
Yeah,
Or
it's surreal. It's surreal.
um, so we hope to close them. Otherwise, we're in deep doo doo. But again, we have a route. So the salesperson for carpet also does the mold route, um, and we are in with homeopathic doctors. We are in with construction companies. So we've got two remodelers that the minute they see mold, they call us. And we'll come in, take care of the mold so that they can continue doing the remodel. Um, and we've gotten some great testimonials from people. The process we use is not like traditional mold remediation, which is today would be you rip everything out that's got mold on it, and then you rebuild everything. So it's like 60, 70, $80,000. And you really haven't gotten rid of the mold because the mold's in the air. So our process is not, there's no demolition with ours, so there's nothing to rebuild. We can get it done in a day versus 6, 10, 12 weeks because we have a method called dry fogging. And that is a license that I pay for because the technology is just amazing. Um, and so between the technology and we've got marketing materials from Army Corps of Engineers has tested our process. So that's really a big badge that we carry. And yeah, and again, just the creating relationships and maintaining relationships. I mean, if we don't hear from one of the builders and like even within like 2 or 3 weeks, the salesperson is going out to their office and visiting with some chocolate or something.
Interesting. So you tell me about this. What'd you call it? Fogging, air
Dry fog.
fogging.
Yes, dry fogging.
All right. Tell me about that. I don't believe I've ever heard of that.
Yep, it's been around for a number of years, not a lot. I think we were in the first 50 licensees in the country. There's now I don't know how many hundreds, um, but it's a paracetic acid. Not to get technical on you, but it's essentially vinegar on steroids. Um, and it's done in such a way under high pressure, and it comes out a little nozzle, and it is literally a dry fog. So you can put your hand over the nozzle, pull it away, and there's no moisture. So people don't have to put, paper away. I mean, you can, the fog touches the paper, it doesn't change anything, pictures on the wall. So literally, we leave everything in the house because we want to treat everything. You don't know where the mold is. I mean, just because you got some growing in your shower doesn't mean it's not flying around in the air somewhere else. Um, and so the dry fog takes care, literally goes in and explodes the mold cells. It's called denaturing, literally killing the mold cell and rendering them neutral. So if you have a mold sensitivity, um, we guarantee it for 1 year that you won't have any mold regrowth.
So is the idea that this is for I'm picturing something that like a house that's been flooded from a hurricane or something like that, where they got all kinds of black spores
Yep,
floating around or on the walls and stuff like this. Can it take care of something like that?
it
Or is it
can.
something a little less dramatic?
No, no. I mean, we do like I said, we do a lot of work with the homeopathic doctors because there are a lot of people with very high mold sensitivities. They can't even live in their homes. So with our process, because we treat the entire home, we get, they can move back in same day, and they're fine. Um, if we encounter a home that's got, black, green, white, whatever color mold is growing, when we do the fogging, that mold is dead. I mean, deader than a doornail, dead. Um, and we give them the option and say, look, we can clean it for you and charge you $300 an hour. Or if you got a teenager living at home, here's how to clean it. It's not going to hurt them because it's already dead, and you can save yourself $300 an hour and have your kid do it. So, I mean, there are some people that they don't want to even see it. So, we go in and we call it cosmetic cleaning. That's really what it is. We're just getting rid of the dead mold and the discolorations.
Interesting. Are you doing something behind walls or anything like that?
Yeah. So we will. Because it's based on negative pressure, or excuse me, positive pressure, we'll drill little pencil holes in between the studs. I mean, they're like 1/4 inch big. And when we're fogging the room, the fog will go in through those holes and up into, the gaps between the studs. All we got to do is come by with a little bit of spackle and we're done.
All
So
right,
it's not
interesting.
ripping out an entire sheet of drywall.
And does that work on exterior walls that have insulation in them?
Yeah, because again, the fog is, I mean, insulation is porous, so the fog works its way in and will kill anything that it comes in contact with.
Huh. How interesting. I This is so peculiar to me. I've never heard of something like that. It'd be
Yeah, it's called pure maintenance if you want to look it up.
yeah.
Um, um, yeah, they've been great. We've had them, like I said, 7 years now, and we had zero callbacks.
Well, that's a good number.
It
Did
is. I
you
mean, it
stum
proves again, it proves the system works.
Yeah. Did you
So.
stumble upon this process and then start the mold business? Or was that vice
Actually, one of
versa?
my other carpet franchise friends up in New Jersey found it. He started it and he said, "Oh my God, I'm making money hand over fist, and I'm not working hard." Well, okay, I like that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So that's what I did.
Nice. All right. And do you the way that you brand these 3 companies, are they all under the same umbrella or are they totally different?
They are under the same corporation, but they all have their own name. So we've got Maryland Mold Busters, and then we have Eastern Shore Rug Cleaning and Eastern Shore Carpet Cleaning. So Eastern
Gotcha.
Shore is the area of Maryland I live in.
All right. So we've delved into your businesses, all that jazz. I never asked you, how did you decide to go off on your own versus keeping or continuing to work the corporate America gig?
I got fired twice.
Oh, well, that'll
So,
happen. Okay.
yeah, I realized I make a lousy employee. I don't like to be told what to do. And so, yeah, I could have gotten another job, but I don't think I would have lasted very long.
Right on, right on. It happens. Did you work for Disney?
hmm 10
Okay.
years, little over
For
10
I'm
years,
sorry, how long?
little over 10 years.
Oh, that's a little while. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Interesting. And
Yeah, it
was
was a
it
good run.
okay?
Um, but, and I mean, I left them on good terms. And, I am living proof that you can leave the company and not curl up into the fetal position and, wither and die. Um, but, I'd been there 10 years and I'm just like, there's got to be something else out in the world. So I went out and looked.
Right on. Were you on location in either Florida or
Yeah,
California
in
or
Orlando. Yep,
okay. So you lived where it was nice and warm for a while and said, I'm out of here.
I did. Yeah, I actually moved to Boston from from Orlando. So
Well, Boston's a blast, so that's okay.
yeah, it's cold too.
A little colder, but I love Boston. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fun
Oh
town.
yeah, no, it's a great town.
That is cool. And so you start your business. When do you shift gears into offering essentially, I'm gonna use the word coaching. I don't know if you do. Okay. When did you start offering coaching to other business owners and entrepreneurs?
It was about 6 years in, so 2013.
Okay.
Like I said, people were asking me because, I mean, I was still working in the business then. Um, and actually at a lot of the supply houses I would go to get our equipment and chemicals, the people would laugh and they would say, here comes the guy who likes to clean carpet. And I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's easier. Why would I wanna clean dirty carpet? That's more work." Um, so and because our marketing was designed, not just for the dirt and the stuff that you can see, because once you can see it, it's already too late. I mean, you've worn your carpet, you've, ground the dirt in, and now it's, more resurrection than it is cleaning. So yeah, so I mean, our marketing was designed to, hey, before you see, you know, these little gray lines in your carpet, or hey, if you got pets and kids in the home, you should really be cleaning every 6 months if you want to, maintain that expensive investment of carpet in your home.
Right. Interesting. It sounds like you would set people up on a routine cleaning schedule or something
Yeah,
of that nature.
we had a couple of programs. Yeah, we had the Always Clean Club, um, and we had quite a few people in that.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. So you decide, hey, I'm going to start coaching people. Are you targeting similar industries? Or are you targeting something more broad?
I was for a while. I mean, I wasn't really targeting any industry. I just kind of fell into it. And then I was, going to conferences and, I introduced to somebody at a conference and they're like, oh, well, you should come to this meeting. And so I really just started kind of really networking in the marketing world. Um, and I got introduced to a business coach to orthodontists, Dustin Burleson, great guy out of Kansas City. And we were in a meeting together, and I was telling him about my Disney background and then, all of the customer retention experience stuff I did. And he looks me dead in the eye and says, you know what? I would pay you to take me and my coaching group through Disney. And so another part of my consulting business was born. I now, 2 or 3 times a year, will go to Disney with business owners and entrepreneurs. Actually, I'm going next week with two different groups, and we spend 3 days full immersion in all things Disney. Half the day is classroom, half the day is in the theme park, and at the end of it, people have a blueprint or a roadmap on how to Disneyfy their business when they get home Monday morning.
Interesting. And what are some of the things that they're learning from this?
Sure. So a lot of it is really how to adapt what Disney is doing into a plumbing business or a real estate business, because you can't copy what Disney's doing unless you own a theme park or roller coasters or things. Um, One of the big lessons really is attention to detail. So if you've been to Disney, they are fanatical about the details. I remember sitting there. It was one morning I was having coffee outside, and I'm watching horticulture guys out there with the big scissors and, trimming up the hedges. And then, like 20 minutes later, after he left, the supervisor um, uh, for the hedge trimming people came by with her own pair of scissors and was, going in there and detailing anything that he missed with the big choppers. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, that is some attention to detail. Um, and we're all in detail businesses, so how do you look at that? And one of the things that I talk about a lot is that every detail in your business is either enhancing or detracting from the experience. There is no middle ground. So if you got dusty house plants in your waiting room, well, that is not helping you if you're a medical professional. It's not helping you, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Um, so it's looking at all those small details, for if you've got a fleet of vans on the road, do you wash them every day? Are your technicians clean? Do they not smell? A lot of things that people just don't think about. But it's identifying each individual little detail. And then the other big thing is Disney is great at creating experiences. Um, and I'm not talking about the big expensive ones where you have to, you know, build Noah's Ark in your waiting room or whatever. I'm talking about simple things like answering the telephone or greeting somebody when they come into your place of business. Disney's just figured out a way to make an experience out of answering the phone. And you call the Polynesian resort and they're saying aloha, or you're calling a Disney Vacation Club and they're saying welcome home. And it's just different ways to create experiences. It's just all the little boring stuff that we do day to day, figuring out how to create an experience out of it. And that's what really separates you from all of your other businesses in your industry.
Oh my gosh, so true. So true. I can tell you, I guess I'm reminded from listening to you. We have a local-ish convenience store here, gas station, Quick Trip. I mean, they're Wisconsin based, but I think they're branching out in other states around the Midwest. They have this whole "see you next time" that they say when you leave, and it's just a convenience store. And it's interesting because the first one that came on the east-ish side of Madison, where I'm located, there was a BP gas station that was there. This Quick Trip goes up, and it's probably got 3 times the pumps. That BP gas station was never busy. It had a Subway in it. It was kind of beat
Yep.
up. The BP gas station is easier to get to off the highway. Quick Trip, you got to go down another eighth of a mile or something like that. That Quick Trip is bustling, probably like Disney World. That
Yep.
BP is still just tumbleweeds rolling by. So it's interesting, all because, I mean, the Quick Trip is cleaner. The people are nicer. It's more organized. It has more to offer. There's nothing that the Quick Trip does that the BP has in any way that they're doing better.
Right.
So it's interesting because it's still just a gas station, right? Like, some people just need to get gas and they move on with their life. You think the BP would still be busy, at least people
Right.
getting gas, but it's
Have you
not.
seen Bucky's?
I have, yes,
Um,
there's talk of a Bucky's coming near us. Yeah.
I mean, I was at the Bucky's in near Orlando, 80 pumps,
Yeah.
80, 80, and they got their own merchandise in there. You can buy the little Bucky stuffed thing. Uh, it's a gas station, like you said. I mean, it's a convenience store. But what makes it so special? Clean restrooms, nice people, all of the stuff that you'd think they do take for granted, but they don't do anything about.
I think, I guess in that regard, the gas stations when I was a kid were typically dumpy. They're gross. You had to get the
Oh,
key with
yeah.
the hubcap to go use the restroom,
Yep.
and the people were behind glass or something like that. It was not a good experience.
Nope.
Not even a little bit. And now, I mean, I don't know, visiting a convenience store is necessarily a good experience, but you don't feel bad, or you're not like, oh my gosh, I have to stop for gas
Yep.
or anything like that. When you see that sign for Quick Trip, or I imagine Bucky's or something like that, you're almost looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Where the other ones, you're like, I hope I don't get chlamydia stopping at this gas station.
Exactly. You know?
So it's interesting. And from that point, I mean, I would dare say it's common sense, right? Just be nice, have clean stuff, but most convenience stores, in my experience, don't have that.
Yep. Well, and
Yes.
It's cultural too, James. I mean, I mean, I'm sure you've got a McDonald's in your neighborhood or in your area,
Oh,
and you
they're
probably,
everywhere. Yeah.
and you probably have a Chick-fil-A, in your area.
Mhm. Mhm.
And, they pull from the same applicant pool, which is usually the local high school. And so there's not like any mystery into how they're hiring or, where they're getting their people, same high school. But McDonald's can barely get them to grunt at you when you pull up to the drive-through, and Chick-fil-A has a way of getting them to say, "Please," and "My pleasure," and "Thank you," and, the bathroom is clean there. I mean, I've never run into an unfriendly person at a Chick-fil-A,
Oh, interesting.
and they're both fast food. Um, Granted, Chick-fil-A takes a little bit longer, but, um you look at the average sales of an average McDonald's is like $4.5 million a year. Some of them are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Chick-fil-A, it's closed on Sundays, so it's only got 6 operating days. They don't open 24 hours. And Chick-fil-A's are doing between 7 and 8 million a year.
Are there it's that big of a difference?
It's that big of a difference. It's like 1.5x a McDonald's.
Wow. How peculiar.
Yeah,
Okay, I had no idea it was that big of a deal
and
or big of a difference.
yeah, I mean, and they're just selling chicken sandwiches, just like
Yeah, it's still
McDonald's is
fast
selling
food. It's
burgers,
nothing like yeah, it's not Thanksgiving dinner or anything. Interesting. How peculiar. And I imagine the buy-in, if you wanted to franchise or become a franchisee, or Chick-fil-A versus, McDonald's, is there a big difference there?
Huge difference. So Chick-fil-A, you can actually get in, you can only own one. I think there's only like a handful of people that own more than one, and you don't actually even own it. You're kind of leasing it. So it's like a $5,000 investment, for the owner to buy in, or the proprietor. I can't remember what they call them. And you're expected to run and manage that store. You can't be an absentee owner. Um, whereas if you want to start a McDonald's, I mean, again, you're up into that $1 or $2 million liquid cash. They're probably expecting you to open, 6, 10, 15 of them, in your area. So it's very different business model.
Interesting. So the Chick-fil-A, you're almost buying a job.
You
You're
are.
okay.
You are. Now I don't know what the exit is. I mean, they might have, a good exit plan, profits or whatever. Um, but I mean, the GM of a Chick-fil-A, I mean, they're making nice six-figure salaries,
Alright. Alright.
and they're off on Sunday.
Sure, and all the chicken you can eat, right?
And all the chicken you can eat.
Tell me the Deliver Service Now Institute. Tell me about that name.
Sure. This is actually very peculiar in that if you make an acronym out of it, DSNI, and you try and pronounce that, sounds like Disney.
Oh, would you look at that?
Would you look at that, DSNI? So it took me a while to come up with that. Trust me. Um, but I don't call it the Disney Institute. It's Deliver Service Now Institute. But people will say Disney. I say yeah, that's right. Um, but yeah, no, it's that was the the down and dirty way I came up with the name.
Sure. Oh, that's pretty clever. I like that. That is the first time I've ever heard of a business named in that regard. Taking the pronunciation of
Yep,
an acronym and then working it backwards. Oh, that is
yeah. It took
peculiar
some
indeed.
time, but we got there.
Tell me, as far as Disney goes, I have to admit I've never been to Disney. I don't even have much interest in going to Disney. I'm just not a fan of lines. So that's
Well,
one
you
of those
can
things.
pay to avoid the lines.
It's funny that you say that because I have a friend of mine, his wife is a Disney travel something or other. I don't know. They go to Disney so often that she became a pyramid scheme salesperson for Disney.
Right.
And I guess you pay extra to avoid the lines, but you just pay extra to end up in a shorter line, I believe. Is that
Well, no, there is actually if you hire a private guide, they will take you and 9 of your friends and will walk you literally to the front of every line,
oh, interesting. So there's
every single one.
tiers.
Now, Now it's $6,000 for the day for this private guide.
All right.
Um, but if you wanted to see all 4 parks and all the major attractions in all 4 parks with a private guide, you could do it in 1 day, because they'll put
Wow.
you in the back of a big Escalade and they will drive you. You don't get to go through the front gates. You go through all the back doors of everything and they escort you right onto the ride. You do the ride, you get off and you go do the next one.
Huh. How interesting. So I guess the question that I have is Disney the end all be all when it comes to service like they were or are thought to be? Or is this
There's
like
some
the
slippage.
Cadillac thing where people used to use the name Cadillac, but now it doesn't
Yeah.
mean as much as it used to?
I mean, I still think they're a gold standard as far as experiences are concerned. There's definitely been slippage since I've been there. Not saying it slipped because I left. I would love
Right?
to think that,
Vance is out. What do we
um,
do?
but it's really, I mean, it is the farther and farther you get away from the founder. So in this case, Walt, the more diluted the culture gets. And so what we focused on 25 years ago is maybe, 75% now. And when I was there, we were probably 75% of what Walt focused on 30 years before that. I mean, you can see that with McDonald's. McDonald's, clean bathrooms used to be a marketing expense. It wasn't even an operations expense. So the further and further you get away from, Ray Kroc and the McDonald's brothers, I don't want to say the worse it gets, but the less pleasant or maybe not top notch. But they're still up there. I think they are up there with the Ritz Carltons, the Four Seasons, Apple, Harley Davidson. I mean, these are all companies that just have a rabid fanatical fan base that, I mean, if you've run into a Disney fanatic, it. I mean, they're wearing Minnie Mouse outfits at the shopping mall. Um, but those are diehard fans. And there is a lot to be said about being able to create that kind of culture with any customer, whether you're a dentist or an attorney or whatever. Um, that's really where you want to go. So if you went to Disney today, 80% of the people in the park right now have been there before. It's only
80%.
80%. It's only
Wow.
20% new. So that I said, well, if that ratio is good enough for Disney, that's what I want to try to attain. So in my home service businesses, we're in the low 70s. So we're not quite there yet, but still very respectable. And that's the benchmark I use when I'm working with clients, is we really should get you to the 80% mark, because that's where all the profitability comes in. As I mentioned earlier, getting a new customer is expensive.
Mhm.
Like for my home service businesses, it cost me $135 to get a new customer in the front door. So, pay-per-click ads, guy answering the phone, etc. About $135. It only cost me $22 a year to keep a customer. So the minute we serve an existing customer, I'm already over $100 more profitable because I didn't have to go out and get the customer again.
Right? Yeah, oh my gosh, maintaining customers is way easier and way
Oh,
more
God, yeah.
beneficial. Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. Some of the clients that you've worked with, tell me, I mean, I imagine there's different industries that you've worked
Mhm.
with. So tell me, what are the industries that they are in and what did they tweak with their systems and processes to achieve this level of customer service
Sure.
that people that aren't in the know necessarily wouldn't even understand or know, like, oh, that's a thing.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the people I work with, they will work on their in office experience. So maybe they're a medical professional, maybe they're a financial advisor. Um, and, I mean, if you go to the dentist, I mean, a dentist is a dentist is a dentist, right? There's only so many ways to clean teeth. It's like the little worry thing or the little squirty thing, and that's kind of it. So, what separates one dentist from another? It's the in-office experience that they deliver. So one of my clients, most dentists take insurance. Well, the insurance reimbursements aren't that great. And she's working 6 days a week. She's just killing herself. She goes, it says, Vance, I'm barely even paying back my student loans for medical school. And I said, well, you're not going to really make it with reimbursements from insurance. I said, have you ever thought about going private pay? She goes, yeah, I thought about it, but it makes me nervous. And so we talked about it. got her convinced to go private pay. So now she can charge whatever price she wants to charge. Um, but she still was just a dentist. I said, we've got a niche down. So I said, who do you like working with? So I love working with the kids. I said, okay, great. Let's just have you be a pediatric dentist. So now you work with them from, 2 to 18. And after that, you don't talk to them. And I said, okay, great. Now you specialize. So you're going to get a little bit more elasticity in your pricing. You'll be able to charge more because you're a specialist. I said, but you need something from your personality to really make this work. I said, what's your favorite movie? And she says, Peter Pan. I said, great. So you're going to be the pirate dentist. And so she dresses up like Captain Hook. Her dental assistants all look like little Mr. Smees running around, and they all say in the office say "arg" all the time. There's a shipwreck jungle gym in the waiting room, and she has got a line of kids out the door. She's got a waiting list, and they are paying her prices. Here's the cool thing: she dropped $170,000 to her bottom line by eliminating the 2.5 people that did insurance billing. She had 2.5 people on her team. That's all they did was insurance billing.
Wow.
She got rid of them. She's already 175 or 170 grand more profitable every year. And she was able to raise her prices.
Well, that's impressive. All right.
Yeah. So, so it's those kinds of things. Now, there are, like I've got, a couple of financial advisor clients, and, they can't really be walking around like pirates. They got to be taken a little more seriously. Um, but we still work on the in-office experience. If you go to a financial advisor's office, it's usually a couple of dusty house plants, some green shade, lamps sitting around, and some grumpy, receptionist named Marge sitting behind, the desk. So I said, if you want to stand out, you've got to change that, especially if you want to maximize your fees and charge fees you know, that you think you deserve. So one of my clients, since he's been working with me for 3 years, he has 5x'd his management fees for the first year for a financial advisor.
Wow.
He's quoting between 35 and $50,000 just in fee for the first year. And I said, you've got to have a experience that supports that fee. So one of the things we did with him is now when people walk into the office, everybody comes by appointment, so they know who's coming. The receptionist will stand up, walk around the desk, and say, "Hi, Mr. Smith. Leonard will be with you in just a couple of minutes. Here's our menu of coffee, drinks, and waters. What could I get you?" So they have like 6 versions of still and sparkling water, and they have a espresso machine in the back, and everybody is trained on it. And you can get your favorite cappuccino, frappuccino, latte, extra potato juice, whatever thing you like to drink. Um, that's a lot different than just walking in and, offering a little Dixie cup of, water from the sink.
Yeah. Bottles over there. Yeah.
Yeah, bottles over there, right?
Interesting. So it's offering that level of customer service to have the customer believe that they're at a higher tier place.
Yep,
So they're being charged higher tier prices. So
they are.
that makes
Yep.
sense. That makes sense.
I mean, you've got to have the value there as well. But if you have the value, and you're charging premium prices, it's got to feel like a premium experience.
Right. Yeah, definitely. It's interesting how I guess I see a lot of businesses trying to try to go to the premium price first before they
Yeah,
get the actual premium service.
yeah, that's
And I
backwards,
always think, you need me more than I need you because you got plenty of other competitors here.
right?
So
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. And you can do it in any business. I mean, I do it in my carpet cleaning business. I mean, one of the boring things we have to do is get into the home to provide our service. We can't get in the house. We can't do the service. And so I've scripted out the entire process of getting into the home. And, it starts with we park in the street. We don't park in the driveway. God forbid I got an oil leak. Now I got something else I got to clean up. Technician gets out of the van in a clean, crisp uniform because he carries extra uniforms with him in case he gets dirty. He doesn't smell because I forbid cologne and I forbid smoking. And I mean, there's nothing worse than a guy showing up in your kitchen smelling like the Marlboro man who just took a shower in Axe. I mean, it's gross. And so we go to the front door, we lay down a special mat, we knock on the door, we don't ring the bell. When the customer opens the door, we ask to be let in. We don't just barge in. We do an exaggeration of wiping our feet on the special mat we laid down. Then we put little booties on our shoes. And as we're going in, we give our client a gift. And when was the last time you had a carpet cleaner, water treatment guy, whoever, give you a gift before they did any service?
No, unless
Probably
you're
not.
counting a business card, no.
Yeah, no. And I'm not counting like a pen or a chip clip or something. I'm talking a nice box. And, inside the box that we do is a bottle of our spot remover, a little bag of Entenmann's cookies, and a note from me saying, thanks for letting us into your home. So that's our process. That's our experience for getting into the home. And you just have to think outside the box on, okay, how do you make this a little bit better? How do you make this a little bit better? What's the next iteration of how you're going to perform your job?
Nice. I love it. I love it. Are there, well, I guess, tell me, Vance, as far as websites or anything like that you have, I imagine you have a lot going on. So why don't we just list them off here?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you want to get in touch with me, vancemorris.com, nice and easy to get to. And then I've got a gift for your listeners if they want it. It's called 52 Ways to Wow Your Customer Without Breaking the Bank. So 52 low or no cost ways, one wow for every week of the year. So if you're not feeling overly creative, and you can download that at wow52ways.com.
Wow52ways.com.
Yep, 52. So the number wow52ways.com.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Vance, thank you so much for being on the show here.
I appreciate it, James. Hopefully I served you and your crowd.
I would think so, very much so. This has been Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. My name is James Cademan, and Authentic Business Adventures is brought to you by Calls on Call Extraordinary Answering Service, offering call answering and receptionist services to service businesses across the country on the web at callsoncall.com. And of course, the Bold Business Book, a book for the entrepreneur in all of us, available wherever fine books are sold. If you're listening or watching this on the web, if you could do us a huge favor, give it the big old thumbs up, subscribe, and of course, share it with your entrepreneurial friends, especially those friends that need help on systems and those that could bump up their customer service so that they can charge more, essentially is what it comes down to, make the world a better place, right? I just feel, right, Vance, it's interesting. If customer service was bumped up everywhere and people had to pay a little bit more money to get that better customer service, I feel like everybody would end up being happier and better paid. So
100%.
I think so.
100%.
I think so.
I mean, I've even done this with oil change companies.
Oh, perfect.
I mean, I've got a guy, he owns 4 private, kind of like a Jiffy Lube, Kwik Lube kind of thing, but he's independent. And we Disneyfied his business. He's charging 45% more than, the Jiffy Lube 2 doors down from him. And people are lining up because, again, he's delivering an experience.
That is, I imagine it's one of those things that instead of you dreading or putting it off, getting your oil changed on your vehicle, now people are almost looking forward to it.
Yeah, because we put a barista in his waiting room.
Well, now you're talking. They're going to get a coffee anyway, so might as well get it there.
Yep, exactly.
I love it. Thank you, Vance. Can you tell us those websites one more time?
Sure. Yep. VanceMorris.com. And then if you want the free 52 ways, it is wow52ways.com.
Perfect. I love it. Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night at the podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next week. I want you to stay awesome. And if you do nothing else, enjoy your business.